right, we gonna get started. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Buenos dias. It is Tuesday, y'all, and getting ready for the workday today. We are going into the office, so this is my time that I take advantage of so we can get together, we can chat, we can talk about HR career stuff. If you've got any questions, let me know. Today's topic is going to be about toxic workplaces. And I think majority of us have had experience in that area in the workplace where we have dealt with a toxic supervisor, a toxic coworker, toxic company with their weird, strict, crazy policies and rules. So, if you can relate to this topic, I want you to hang out with me and ask me questions, add your experience in the comments and such, because we will all be learning from each other and each other's experiences. Now, what defines a toxic workplace? A toxic workplace is a place where you have tension. You have tension either from your team. It could be from management to non management, upper management, senior leadership, or not. And it entails typically of like office gossip. Typically, when there is a negative environment, negative workplace, a lot of times there's gossip involved. So that means that you or people around you are talking about other people, other people's dramas, their personal lives, or even just about them. And when there is that gossip, office gossip going around, it creates an environment of mistrust. People do not want to talk to you because, especially if you're the one that's going around talking about your coworkers, people are not going to feel comfortable working with you. Just like vice versa, if you have a colleague, a coworker who is the toxic one, you don't want to talk to them. It's like when you have a supervisor, your supervisor can be toxic as well. There are some supervisors who express favoritism to your coworkers, and no one likes to be felt like they're left no one likes to feel like they're being left out. And a lot of times we have managers that will do that, that will make you feel as if though you're not part of the team. They have a favorite employee, sort of like a teacher's pet. This is like their yes person. This is their favorite person that they choose to like lead projects, to lead meetings, to do this, do that, to be part of this, to be part of that sort of initiative and all. And you can tell when in the office there is like a favorite, or when your supervisor has a favorite. That also can participate in creating a negative and a toxic environment. And also in the workplace, we know that there sometimes is office drama, office politics. Those are things as well that can also contribute to creating a toxic workplace. Sometimes it is the actual employees who are creating the office drama. It could be from anything, maybe a coworker made a mistake, and now they are being judged for that mistake. They're being talked about for that mistake. And maybe it was a big mistake, and we're all humans. We're always going to make mistakes. We're never going to be perfect. And even robots and AI and all that, that's not perfect neither. So nothing in this world is perfect. But a lot of times we hold people up to high expectations that like they have to be perfect at what they do, and we're gonna make mistakes, y'all. It's inevitable in work, in life, personal, when you're raising a family, in relationships, in everything. Like that's just inevitable. But a lot of times we will judge, and I say we because we're all guilty of it. And we will definitely always judge a person based on what they've done or the lack of what they've done. So that creates office drama. Office drama will be part of creating that toxic environment. All right. Now, another way is when you feel like senior management doesn't show support. You have brought up to maybe your supervisor or a leader, a department leader, and said, hey, so and so makes me feel uncomfortable, or they said something uncomfortable, they said something racist to me, something misogynist, something whatever it might be. And let's say that nothing was done from that. That is lack of support from upper management. Now, if you have ever experienced that, I will say that I am sorry for you that you went through that experience, because that is unacceptable. If you ever have a situation with a colleague, an employee, a coworker, even a supervisor, a leader that has made you feel uncomfortable, and you bring up that concern to HR, to senior management, whomever, they are supposed to do something about it. It could be anything from mediation and investigation, anything, even termination, depending on what the severity of, the situation may be. But not every workplace is the same, but this is why, as employees, we have to know how to address certain situations and how we can protect ourselves too. So, lack of upper management support definitely plays a part in that, where you feel like I can't speak to no one here, no one is going to have my back, no one cares, doesn't matter, that person is always going to get away with whatever it is that they're doing because HR doesn't do anything, or the supervisor doesn't do anything. They've been here for 50 years and they've always been like that. It seems like their actions just kind of get pushed under the rug, and people just tend to just overlook and forget these things. Trust me, those are real life situations. It happens. I've seen it. I've experienced a lot of these things. So I'm also speaking from experience to y'all. Now, another way a toxic environment can be caused that in the workplace is by unreasonable, unrealistic expectations. And that could be anything from maybe you got to work late every day. Why do you got to work late every day? Like, unless you are like a lawyer, in those type of roles where you're going to be required to work long days, long hours, then that's understandable. But I'm talking about a regular job where we just go clock in and clock out on a daily. If your supervisor is demanding unrealistic expectations of you and requests, that's also going to create a toxic environment. It's going to create tension, and it's also going to eventually develop into you burning out. And no one wants to burn out. I've been there before and I know what that feels like. And burning out because of work is such a terrible feeling, because you feel like you have nothing else left to give, and these companies are expecting you to produce and show results, and they want you to be on 100, 1,000 all the time, where it's like, y'all are killing me. Y'all don't even understand. Y'all are killing me. Y'all are burning me out. My mental health is deteriorating. My work life, I'm bringing it home, and it's affecting my relationships around me. So that's all negative. That's all toxic. the workplace. All right. Another way that you can tell if a place is toxic or negative is if there are high turnover rates. Does your job constantly have turnover? Now, given there are some industries where you're always going to have turnover, that's just part of the industry. The industry is like a revolving door. For example, the hospitality industry, hotels, that's like a revolving door. They're constantly going to be recruiting and interviewing and hiring. So I'm not talking about those industries. I'm talking about where you're supposed to be working at a more stabilized industry or more stabilized company, and you see that they have continual turnover. If people are constantly leaving, why are they leaving? Are they leaving because they want to get more money somewhere else? Are they leaving for a flexible schedule? Are they leaving for better management, better benefits? Like, why are people leaving their jobs? Some companies are amazing. Unfortunately, you have to grow and excel in your career, and that's understandable. I know some great companies out there in the real estate field, which is where I have spent majority of my HR years in. I know there are some great companies in that field, and people don't leave those companies because they suck or because of senior leadership. They tend to leave because maybe they're relocating, and unfortunately the company won't be able to support that relocation. They need to work on site or close to a site for whatever reason. So there are different reasons there, and there are good companies out there, so I won't knock it. I won't say all companies suck. Some companies are amazing, but if your company is that company where people are constantly leaving because they feel like no one is there to support them, to appreciate them, to recognize them, to any of that, then I mean, what does that tell you? If people are constantly leaving, that's toxic. That's a negative environment. And remember, I'm not talking about those revolving door of industries. I'm talking about like the restaurant industry, the hospitality industry. These are industries that are constantly going to be hiring. But I'm talking about other industries, like if you're in an office, typically working in an office, if you have a lot of people that are constantly leaving, there's something going on there. There's negative drama, toxicity, tension, all of that, favoritism. All these things can play a part in a toxic environment. Now, I want to share with you a personal story that I have where I experienced my first toxic environment. This was actually my first job. I was fresh out of high school. My sister-in-law had gotten me into her company at that time at a small office, very small local office. And they were a restaurant supplier, so they provided like the equipment. They sold equipment to restaurants, plates and cups and all the things that restaurants need. This place, they were the ones that would provide that to them. That was my first job ever. I had never worked a job, and I was very excited because I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get some office experience. Cool. I get in there, I'm excited. It's accounts payables. I learned very quickly that I do not like accounting. It's not my thing. If you work in accounting, kudos to you, but me, I'd rather deal with people. Believe it or not, I'd rather deal with people. I'm more of a people person. Nothing to knock you for, doing accounting. Look, to each his own. But I just know that for me, I learned that quickly. However, I remained at that company for 2.5 years. Why did I stay there that long if I knew that I hated it? Well, at that time I was young, and I figured, let me just stay here, let me gain some experience, and then eventually I'm going to get out. So at my 2.5 year mark, I ended up finally leaving. But before that, that environment was so toxic. First of all, we sat in an office where we didn't have cubicles. We were all sitting together in a big space together, and we were all accounts payables clerks, so you could hear each other's conversations. Like, you couldn't even be on the phone because your neighbor, your other people around you are hearing your conversation. And so I remember one day I had made a mistake on one of the invoices. Now, remember, I was not the greatest with accounts payables, but I eventually did. Um, I said, you know what? I'm going to try my best. I'm going to do whatever I can in this job because it's my job and it's paying my bills. Cool. Well, because I made the mistake, at that time my supervisor came to me, and in front of my coworkers, she said, "This is wrong. You did this wrong. You need to fix it." And da 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 da. And she just like threw the papers at me. And I was like, taken aback. I said, wait a second, hold up. What is going on here? That was my first experience, and that was from a supervisor, y'all. It wasn't from a coworker. It was from a supervisor. That was my supervisor who came at me like that. Now, mind you, it's my first job. My parents had taught me, like, you just got to stay quiet, keep your head down, and just work. Don't say nothing. So I didn't say anything because I figured I didn't want to ruffle any feathers. I didn't want to, get fired or anything like that, not knowing that I, as an employee, have rights. This was before I got into HR. So that company didn't even have an HR department. So there was no one that I could actually go to and say, hey, my supervisor made me feel uncomfortable, you know, harass me, threaten me, whatever, however it was that I was feeling. I didn't have that. But I also just didn't have the balls to even speak up at that time about the situation. So I kind of just sucked it up, and I just sat there in front of the entire room of my coworkers who saw this and heard it. And I'm just sitting there like, uh, okay, because I'm thinking the workplace should be professional. I expect to get, yelled at and all of that by my parents, but not at work, not even from a supervisor. So I was very much taken aback. So that was my first experience of a toxic, a negative environment. And I was like, just because I get it, I made a mistake and I get it. And I owned up to it, and I owned up to my mistake. I never denied it. I never said, oh no, I didn't do that or what. I was like, oh yes. I was like, I'm sorry, I'll fix it. But just that experience just really made me feel horrible. And I was like, I need to get out of here now. So I remember coming home and telling my man, like, oh my gosh, you won't believe what happened at work today. So I'm telling him, and then I'm like, I gotta get out of here. I'm like, I cannot stay here because this place is gonna drive me crazy. This place, I'm gonna end up catching a charge. I'm telling you right now, if I don't leave, I'm catching a charge because one day I'm gonna get sick and tired of her ass coming at me in that sort of way. I get it. I'm young. I was working there between 18 years old to 20 years old. So I was very, very young. And I was telling him, I get it. I'm young. This is my first job or whatnot. But at the same time, I deserve respect just like I respect her. I'm not disrespecting her. I'm not calling her out of her name. I'm not coming at her no type of way. So she needs to also respect me. And that's when I learned you need to get out of those environments if you don't feel appreciated, you don't feel wanted, you don't feel valued, where you're disrespected. And that's kind of like how it is in life in general, even in relationships. If you're in a relationship where you feel like you are being mistreated and whatnot, you're going to want to get out of it. Same thing, same sort of similar feelings as well in the work environment. All right. So now, when you want to set boundaries, setting boundaries is going to be very, very important. I told you guys that with that job, I decided that I was going to quit, that I was going to leave. So then, of course, I started looking for another job. At that time, Career Builder was a hot thing. It was kind of like the Indeed of today. But Career Builder, I posted my resume, and then I started looking for another job, and eventually was able to quit and get into HR. Now, I have also been in situations where I have gotten burnt out. gotten burnt out because I am trying to meet the expectations of the company, of the senior leadership. I'm trying to prove myself to them that I can do it, that I am the one for the job and whatnot. So eventually, I was working as the lead recruiter, a pre opening new hotel. This was at my first HR company, which I was there for 8 years. I felt a sense of loyalty to them because they were the ones who offered me and gave me my first opportunity in HR. So I just felt I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to work my ass off. I'm going to do whatever it is that I need to do to show them that I'm in it for the long run. Like, I'm going to be a lifer with them. I'm going to work with them for a long time. Blah, 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 blah. A lot of us, I think, fall in that where we are with a company and then we say, we're going to be here for a long time. 8 years being with a company is definitely a long time. When I look back now, I'm like, I typically stay at a company for like 2.5 years because after that, I'm like, okay, came to do what I needed to do and now I'm gone. But when I look back, I'm like, dang, 8 years? That was a minute, girl. Anyway, so I burned myself out with what I was doing. I spent 2.5 years recruiting for a pre-opening hotel build hotel with a new build hotel. Of course, you're going to need to recruit and hire and fill for the different jobs, for the different roles. So that was a 4 diamond luxury hotel. They needed everything from the front desk to the reservations and sales to the kitchen to banquets to housekeeping, everything, you name it. It's a full service hotel. So I'm thinking I'm doing a great thing by overworking myself and proving myself, working day and night for 2.5 years, barely had any time for myself at home. It started even affecting my home, my personal life, because I was dedicating all of my time to work. So eventually, I was told that if I performed well and if I met the goals of that project of filling 150 jobs, that there was a potential for me to get a promotion. I'm like, all right, cool. You hear, if you're up for a promotion, what are you going to do? You're going to prove yourself. You're going to work hard towards that promotion. So that's exactly what I did. I'm over here working hard towards this promotion. The day comes, the hotel finally opens, and I'm like sitting there like, okay, I'm about to get my promotion. I'm about to get my money up. I'm about to get this bag. I'm about to get promoted. Like, what's up? Like, y'all can't tell me nothing. So I sit down in the meeting and I'm told that I'm not getting the promotion. I said, what? My heart dropped to the floor, not even to my stomach, to the floor. And I felt so many emotions. I just felt used. I felt betrayed. I just felt so many things. And I was like, wait, what? I'm not getting promoted? And they were like, no, I'm sorry. It's the budget. We just can't afford it right now. What you mean? You just spent millions of dollars on this hotel and you're hiring all these different jobs and you can't give me a promotion? You can't give me what? That's when I learned, y'all. You don't give these companies 150%. Give these companies 100%. That's what you get paid for. That's what I do. I'm going to give you 100%. I'm going to give you and I'm going to perform at the expectation that is expected of me. But I'm not going to give you no more than that. I'm not working overtime. I'm not working extra, especially I'm a salaried employee. I'm not doing it. I'm sorry. I'm not doing it because I've been there before and I've been burned and I know what it's like. And what you go through creates a negative environment. It creates a negative feeling. So, of course, do you think that I went back to work all happy-go-lucky? I love my job and I'm ready to work and I'm ready. No, I didn't. I didn't. I did not. Absolutely not. That's when I decided, you know what? my time here is up. I need to go somewhere else. And that's exactly what happened. So I'm going to tell you one thing. If you are in a place that you feel like you are being overworked and unappreciated and not valued and all that, you know when your time is up. You need to start looking to take your talents to somewhere else, to the next best place, and create and add value to that place, because these companies, they will lay you off from one day to the next. They will eliminate your position from one day to the next, all in the sake of their budget and to sake of saving their asses. And then we're over here left holding the bag. So I've learned, this is my experience, that I'm not doing that anymore. That's not going to be me. Nope, not me, not Neyda. But when you are going through these moments, find support. Support looks like finding your friends, a friend group, maybe even professionals, mentors. I definitely have my very few selected people that I vent to, and these are people that I know are not judging me. They're not looking at me no type of way. They hear me out. Maybe these are people that I know that have my back, and people that really want to look out for me and help me. So you want to definitely find that support in your people, because support is going to be very important when you're dealing with a toxic place. And maybe you don't have someone, get a counselor, a therapist, someone that you can talk to let these feelings out. Because I'm gonna tell you one thing, holding grudges, resentments, and all that is not good for you, and it's not good for your mental health. So don't do that. And always, regardless of what you're going through in these toxic workplaces, just remain professional. Remain professional, because at the end of the day, you just never know when you're going to need this company again. You might need them for a reference, you might need them for whatever the case may be. And the last thing you want to do is to burn a bridge with them. As much as I would know that my time was up and I would leave the companies, as much as I was bitter and I felt some type of way towards them, I'm gonna tell you one thing: I never ever took my foot off my professionalism, because I knew this industry that I was in, real estate, is very small, and people talk to each other. Even though they are competitors, they still talk to each other on the back end. So don't ever think that just because they're different companies and they're competitors that they don't talk to each other. Trust, companies do talk to each other on the back side of things, especially within the same industry. Yeah, best believe everybody knows about each other. Everybody talks to each other at these industry events, at whatever it is. And then you've got friends that work in competitor companies. So trust and believe, you just never know when you're going to have to cross that bridge again. So you never want to burn a bridge with these companies, no matter how toxic they are, no matter how much they make you hate them, no matter how much they suck, no matter whatever it is. Just always remain professional, because at the end of the day, that's going to help you out. I have left all my jobs on a very professional note. I have left them in good standing. I know that I can always go back to any of them and ask for a reference. I can ask for whatever it is. And I know that they'll give me one. And I know that they cannot sit there and lie about me and make me seem like I'm this bad person or put me in a negative light, because there's nothing there that's going to support that accusation. I'm going to tell you that. So regardless, however I felt about them, I always remain professional. I mean, I would get off work and then, vent to my man, to my best friend, and be like, oh my God, you won't believe what these people did to me today, what they said. But at work, oh, best believe I'm professional. Very. So, you want to definitely, while you're going through these toxic cycles, you want to invest in your self-care. What does self-care look like? It could be anything for you. For me, I like to deal with I like to go get massages. I like to get facials. I like to spend a day by myself at the mall shopping. I like to take a trip, go on a vacation. Uh, Self care looks very different to each one of us. So you just got to find, and it could be something that you do on the daily, on the regular. So you just got to find a way to take care of yourself in that way. So that way you can at least remain some sort of sane. You're not all the way mad, but that is very important. And like I said, taking time off is my top best favorite thing to do because that's your time where you can reset. You can just kind of sit in your own thoughts or whatnot, and you're separated from work. You don't have to think about work. um, I have also learned that I don't want to keep my work emails on my phone. I the only thing that I keep on my phone now is Microsoft Teams, because that's how I'll get phone calls and the text messages from my team. But other than that, honestly, I don't keep work emails on my phone anymore, because I used to look at my emails all the time, day and night. And then I would be thinking about work while I'm at home. I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta remember to answer this tomorrow and blah blah blah. And then I started really thinking, okay, this is actually part of the reason why I'm burning myself out, because all I'm doing is thinking about work. I'm not giving myself time at home. So I don't have my work email on my phone. I don't. I don't. I just don't want to. I don't want to do that to myself. I've learned that I look at my emails a lot. And if I look at my emails, I'm going to think about work, and then I might even want to respond to it then and there, or I just keep thinking about it all night until the next day until I respond. And that's not healthy. That's not good. Now, unless it's your own company, your own business, of course, that's totally different, right? You are your own CEO, CFO, marketing, you're everything to your company. That's totally different. That's understandable. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when you work for somebody else. That's what I'm saying. Now, when talking about time off, now this is not advice that I'm about to say or give to you. This is just an example of what has been out there that I have seen. I know of people who their toxic work environments have really taken a toll on them. And what they've done is they've gone to their doctor and said, look, this really has taken a toll on my mental health. I need time off work. Their doctor will then recommend them to be off work, give them a doctor's note. And because per doctor's note, now you're required to take that time off. They presented it to their HR team, and now they're out on FMLA. FMLA covered them up to 12 weeks of unpaid leave, but that 12 weeks, they were able to spend time at home, maybe with their children, their families, or just themselves, just to really get themselves together. And that was just all so they could have a peace of mind. And while they were out on FMLA, you know, if your situation qualifies as a medical condition, as a medical reason why your doctor says you need to be out, then you're also covered under short-term disability, 60% of your, about 60 to 70% of your wages. So that gives a person as well time off so they can focus on themselves, on their mental health, on their well-being. So if you are going through a situation at work where you are going through negativity, toxicity, anything like that that is affecting you, figure out, talk to your doctor, look at your employee handbook. What does your company have that they can offer you any support? Maybe you could speak to get on EAP, speak to a counselor, speak to someone for free, and the company pays for it. Because the last thing that we want to do is go to work at 50%, at 25%. You want to go to work at 100%, because that's what you are expected to do. That's what you get paid for, to work at 100%, to produce at 100%. Now, anything beyond that or beneath that, you're going to have to figure out what's going on, what's causing that. Because I've been on both sides. I have I have performed at way lower than 100% because I wasn't there myself mentally. Maybe I was burnt out or whatnot. And then I've also worked at over 100% trying to prove myself, but all I was doing was burning myself out and doing a disservice to myself. So I will just say, you figure out what you need for your mental health, for your well being, to escape the toxic environment where you're at. And always remember, document, 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 document everything. I stress this out so much because if you have someone who has said anything racial to you, any sort of slurs, any sort of misogynist comments, anything, document it, document. Because when you bring this situation up to whomever, to your supervisor, to HR, they're going to ask for documentation. And now, depending on the severity of your accusation, if this holds grounds for a claim with the EEOC, or if you want to bring in an attorney for a lawsuit, a workplace lawsuit, trust me, there's going to have to be some sort of documentation. So if you are going through any sort of negativity, any sort of toxicity in your work environment, and you have brought this up many of times and it's not being handled, it's not being supported, it's like going on deaf ears, no one from upper management seems to care, they're not doing anything about it, document it. Because like I said, this may be helpful for you to file an EEOC claim or to get an attorney. And let me tell you, companies hate companies hate to get a letter from EEOC from an attorney that there is some sort of lawsuit against them. Oh my gosh. Companies start to scramble and do whatever it is that they need to try to take out this fire and put out the fire. Listen, I have seen it play out plenty of times where I'm like, see, if you would have trained your people better, or if you would have listened to when that person spoke up, you wouldn't even be here today. But here you are. Now you're scrambling, trying to handle the situation, trying to diffuse and control, and maybe it's a little bit too late. So you want to definitely document. All right. So now, let's say you want to communicate with your supervisor about your situation. And like I said, document it. All right. Bring it up to them. And if not, if you are filing a lawsuit, a claim against them, all right, cool. Leave that, as that is. I'm just putting my lip liner, y'all. Don't mind me. But if not, explore other options. Maybe, is it time for you to leave that company? Is it time for you to take your talent somewhere else? Is your time up? Hold on. Come on. Sorry, my dog wanted to come in. Is your time at that company up? You need to figure out what you need to do. Plan your exit, explore your different options that you have, because that's what you're going to need to do in order to get out of that environment. All right. And then just, moving forward, remember that you got to do what you got to do for yourself, because these companies, they're always going to do what is best for them. Trust me. They do. Companies always do what's best for them. And so you always have to remember that for yourself, for your sake, your well-being, is do what's best for you. And listen, I'm always in support of both the employer and employee side of things, but also I am always going to be in support of what's right is right, and I'm always going to call out whatever is wrong. I don't support what's wrong. I'm one of those people, especially being in HR, you have to be one of those people where you're not going to be okay with the bad happening, and you can't allow those type of things to happen. You always have to think about, yeah, what's best for the company, but ultimately what's best for the employee, because the employee is really the one who is the engine of the company. They're the ones bringing in the money, they're the ones working, they're the ones doing whatever they need to do to push this company forward. Yeah, you've got your leaders who are involved in these meetings and all these different things and doing whatever they need to do to move the company forward, but who's doing the work? Who's doing the job? Who's managing the responsibilities and everything? The employees. So, listen, if you feel you need to take your talents somewhere else, do that. Do that and be an unapologetic. I have learned to be unapologetic anytime I leave a company, because it's for myself, my well being. I'm not going to apologize for trying to do better and live better, make more money, and all that, especially if the company is not giving it to me. No, definitely always going to try to do better. So I hope that you have learned some things today, and I hope that you enjoyed my story time. I want you to share your experiences too. Talk about it in the comments. Share if you've been on the employer side of things, if you've been on the employee side of things. How was it handled? Was it not handled? Of course, I'm not going to give necessarily advice on how to handle your situation. You definitely have to figure that out either by reaching out to your own HR department or by consulting an attorney, depending on the severity of the situation. But I think that it's important for people to discuss what happens in the workplace and their experiences, because that's how we are all able to build a community, feel supported, and that's how we're going to be able to move forward and learn. Learning is very, very important. Learning how to handle these situations. Remember, I told you that my first job, I didn't know how to handle that mistreatment from my boss, from my supervisor. But now, let a supervisor try to come at me like that. Oh no, we are not doing that. First thing I'm doing, I know I'm HR, but I'm going to HR. I know that I am not putting up with that. Not at all. Nope. No sir, no ma'am. We are not doing that. But a lot of times people don't know. People don't know, and you don't know what you don't know, and that's okay. But that's why I'm here to help you, to guide you, to talk to you, to share my experiences and what I've experienced personally or what I've seen happen, because this is what's going to help people out. All right? So make sure to follow my page, because I talk about all of these type of things all the time. I go live Monday through Wednesdays, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, and I talk about anything, story time, about really anything around the workplace. So I'll see you back here tomorrow, same time as today, and we'll talk later. See ya.